Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to be going over The Color of Money. The Color of Money is a sequel to the 1961 film The Hustler, starring Paul Newman. Paul Newman reprises his role as Fast Eddie Felson. Tom Cruise stars as Vincent Loria. Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio is Carmen. John Turturro is Julian. Helen Shaver is Janelle. And Forrest Whitaker as Amos. The Color of Money and The Hustler are both novels written by Walter Tevis. The novel was written 2 years before, and it was the author's last novel. This film greatly differs from the novel of the same name. As a matter of fact, Jackie Gleason's character of Minnesota Fats was supposed to make an appearance. It was going to be Fast Eddie against Minnesota Fats at this pool tournament. Well, both Jackie Gleason and Paul Newman and the director thought he didn't really fit in the story they wrote. So they wrote an original story, and I love this. Before you see The Color of Money, I highly insist on you seeing The Hustler. It's like Blade Runner 2049, where it works on a film as its own, but if you watch the original, the sequel's going to have a greater impact on you, especially with the older character. And Paul Newman won an Academy Award for this film as Fast Eddie, his second time playing this role. And this is among one of his best performances. I love The Color of Money. It has a great soundtrack and a great story. Like The Hustler, it's really about like the thrill and love of the hustle, the sport of pool, and the gambling that comes with it, the pride. And that's a very interesting tale, not only with Fast Eddie now that he's older and wiser, but he's kind of seeing himself in Vincent. Yes, Tom Cruise plays another character named Vincent. I love this. He works at a toy store, plays games. Heck, the video game Doom got its name from a scene in this film. That's just crazy, but it's a very different role for Tom Cruise. He's very young in this movie in 1986, and Paul Newman saw Raging Bull, directed by Martin Scorsese, and he sought Martin Scorsese to direct this film, and he does a great job directing it. He provides narration in the opening, but the film pretty much starts off with Eddie being a bar owner. He's in the liquor business. He walked away from the hustle of pool and gambling since the end of The Hustler. So this is 25 years after The Hustler. And one day he finds this kid named Vincent basically playing pool in his bar, and something's ignited. There's a love for a sport that he has long since forgotten about. And he basically takes Vincent under his wing and tries to teach him the in and outs of pool, of billiards. But among that, we have different themes of pride and hubris with Vincent's character, of him not really wanting to follow any orders. He thinks he knows it all. He thinks he's the best. He is very talented. And there's a lot of parallels between Paul Newman's character in The Hustler and Tom Cruise's character in The Color of Money. And I like that because in some ways, Paul Newman is using Tom Cruise's character. Eddie is using Vincent, but in other ways, he's seeing a bit of himself in this kid. But there's a lot of throwbacks and nods and homages to the original. And Martin Scorsese did a great job with this. I love the score, the editing, the way zooms and like cuts are used, overlaid with pull, overlaid with music. There's this tracking shot where Tom Cruise, the famous scene where Werewolves in London is playing, and in one take he ends up like basically having a perfect game of pool. And it's just an amazing scene. They got a dolly track and basically had a tracking shot around it. They also did that for the tournament later. And I just love the cinematography of this. Again, there's a lot of traditional framing with like two characters. Nowadays, you would have two characters go back and forth talking, and then Paul Newman's talking to the character of Carmen, and both of them are in one shot. They're both talking to each other, and it's like a foreground, background shot, and I love how that's used in the beginning of the film. I also love Paul Newman's romance with Janelle. You know, there's a lot of stuff with him and Janelle, and at the same time, you get to see the love of the sport of pool, of the hustle, kind of take focus, you know? He kind of negates his relationship, much like The Hustler. Not to such a severe degree, but in many ways, it's almost like an old vice that comes back. And I love seeing that in a younger and older generation in this one film, The Color of Money. There's moments where Paul Newman is vulnerable, but in a different way, not through his pride, but merely age and staying out of the game. He's no longer as good as he once was. Everything's changed. But we really get to go with him on this journey of basically finding himself again, becoming Fast Eddie that he was in The Hustler, and I love that journey. We also get to see Vincent go through a journey, how he changes from that simple, naive, innocent kid to being a little bit full of himself to being a little bit jaded, and then knowing the rules of the game and the hustle. And I just love that in this film. And Tom Cruise did a lot of his own trick shots in the film. Most of the stuff you see is Tom Cruise actually playing pool. But he does this one trick where one of the pool balls basically skips over two of them. That was done by two professional pool players. So that wasn't Tom Cruise. And going back to Raging Bull, Jack LaMotta, the real boxer that Raging Bull is based off of, actually made an appearance in The Hustler, so that's something cool. Overall, I love this movie. This is like a perfect sequel. It stands on its own, but if you love The Hustler, this is a well-done sequel. Took its time and actually works. I love this movie. It has a different energy, yet similar themes throughout it, like The Hustler. And it's interesting seeing like how music is utilized with editing and shots, and also just like the themes of hubris and dealing with vulnerabilities of pride. I love that with Paul Newman's character and Tom Cruise. It's a very early role for Tom Cruise. And yeah, I wouldn't expect Martin Scorsese to direct this. It's the only film of his to be under schedule and under budget. It never went over schedule or over budget. So that's very interesting. And I must say, this is just a great film. I give it a 5 out of 5 and an A+. If you're a fan of the sport of pool, billiards, this is a film for you. And this is a worthy sequel to The Hustler, and in many ways kind of surpasses it in my opinion. It's definitely more of a modern film, even though there's a lot of dated stuff in the 1980s. I just love it. I love the time gap between both movies, yet similar parallels between both films occur throughout. And I just love it all the way to that ending where it has that freeze frame and Paul Newman's just like, I'm back. Boom. And it has that freeze frame. Such a perfect way to end the journey of Fast Eddie. And this is just an awesome movie from beginning to end. It's a film that never really slows down. It hooks you in from the beginning, keeps going all the way to the very end. And I love it. It does make me wonder what it would have been like with Jackie Gleason in the movie, but Minnesota Fats really wasn't needed. And again, it differed greatly from the novel. And I like the story they have here. It's a very endearing tale that's shot very well, edited well. And I love even Forrest Whitaker's brief appearance there and his banter between Paul Newman. I just love that scene and just Paul Newman feeling the most vulnerable there. And there's some great acting in this film and shots used. All around, Color of Money is a worthy sequel, and I highly recommend it. Feel free to follow me on the Stardust app at Fred Film Fanatic. Here's some more videos you can enjoy on my channel. Don't forget to watch my Hustler review over here. And definitely check out both The Hustler and The Color of Money if you're a fan of billiards and Paul Newman. They're two terrific films I highly, highly recommend. It's just an awesome movie. Like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. Don't forget to hit that bell for more notifications. That's it for my thoughts on The Color of Money. Till next time.